Call Redevelopment Authority meeting of December 22nd, 2025 to order. All members present. Got a few things on the agenda tonight. First thing on the agenda tonight is Mark Hammond, applications for the gazebo. Or any other current applications?
So we don't have any applications right now.
Full applications. All right. And do you want to give us an update on Market Street?
Oh, sure. Market Street Research, Stephanie Gontier, the principal of Market Street Research, was not able to attend a meeting in person, and so we discussed whether it made more sense to have her Zoom into this meeting or to attend the next virtual meeting in January. And so I discussed with the chair best way to proceed, and the decision was to have Stephanie Gontier come and meet with HRA at the next meeting in January, and that would also give HRA time to develop an agreement with HRA Council to sign regarding the scope of services.
Any questions from the board? Okay. All right, we got meeting minutes to review.
Oh, yes, that's me. Let's see, pulling those up. So we have 3 sets of minutes. We have October 15th, October 27th, and November 10th. So we'll go ahead and make a motion. I move to approve the minutes of October 15th.
Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Joan Senator. Any discussion on the minutes of October 15th? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed? All right, October 15th is approved.
All right, next minutes are the
October 27th.
October 27th. So I move to approve the minutes of October 27th.
Is there a second? Seconded by Joan Senator. Any discussion from the board? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, and lastly, the minutes of November 10th. I move to approve the minutes of November 10th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Joan Senator. Any discussion on the meetings of November 10th? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
All right. Minutes are done. Moving right along.
Thank you.
Joan, we got a warrant tonight?
We have a warrant tonight. I circulated it yesterday to the board. First item is T-Gray Landscape for the mower cleanup of lots, the Bayside plus A and B, in the amount of $2,075. Next one is Pierce Atwood for legal services for the month of November, $3,165. The next is Hull Light Plant for services for November 12th through December 10th, $26.80. Next is Catherine Goldhammer for administrative website services for the month of November, $130. And lastly, Mark Hammond, our technical consultant for November services for $1,440 for a total warrant of $6,836.80.
Any comments or questions from the board?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the warrant in the amount of $6,836.80.
Motion made by Paquin to accept the warrant as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Charlie Richardson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Anything under new business? Oh, wrong warrant. Wrong warrant. Where'd it go?
Assess packet.
You just hit it on myself. Discussion related to the parking and vendor operations for 2026 and parking and vendor agreements. Mark, you want to kick this off?
Sure. So this is my first year of working for HRA, and I came in the midst of the process for developing the RFP for the parking management. And so last year, the timetable was January for starting the process of drafting the RFP, the revisions to the RFP, having that reviewed and approved by HRA so that it could be submitted to the central register, and that requires 30 days before application deadlines and so on. So just thinking ahead in terms of the timetable for that, and the other issue that I want HRA to consider is that did not receive a significant number of applications in recent years, and certainly not last year. So thinking about modifying the RFP to encourage more applications, and I think probably the way to do that is to lower the minimum bid price and then require applicants to have a plan for revenue sharing above and beyond the minimum amount. And that way it basically encourages people to apply when there's uncertainty about how the season will go in terms of parking. And we had talked about this in the spring. So I'm only bringing up a topic that's already been discussed by HRA. So I'm hoping that HRA can make some decisions about the timetable, when they would like for me to work on a revised RFP and come to some sort of agreement about what the revisions will be. And also the question of whether HRA wants to do parking. Is that?
That's pretty much what you said.
Yes.
Charlie, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a few thoughts on it. Reading through over the years how helpful the HRA has been towards a lot of different nonprofits and school groups, the carousel, the fire department. Over the years, reading through, there's been monies allocated to folks who in need, and then over the years, I don't even know what the figure is, but I think it's over $1 million since it started in terms of whether it's grant proposals. Am I fair in saying that?
A number of different things, yeah.
Yeah.
All over.
Well,
But from,
yeah.
go ahead.
Well, my thought is, why, instead of like having an agency or a company take it over, why wouldn't we give it to the nonprofits in town and give them an opportunity to make money? I think of the Life Saving Museum as one who I'm affiliated with a little bit and have learned about. They're in a fundraiser right now. What about having volunteers from these different organizations, whether it's Health Pride, whether it's, Council on Aging, and we portion off 10 weeks, whatever it is. They have the parking spot for that much, and then we pool all the money and give it to them at the end of the summer. It's like, seems like it's certainly worth the conversation. I'm not sure why. We took in something like $175,000, and then between parking and lawn mowing, cutting, et cetera, we're talking maybe $40,000 that it cost us. So just something to think about, because it seems like in all the reading I've done, it's been a headache a little bit.
It's a great idea, but, we do have other expenses. We have who's going to take over the liability. That's one of my concerns, and, we still would have to have the police detail. So we would be eating those costs. But also, I think we have to consider, what are we going to do for events? I mean, I think last year there was a huge issue, and I think when we went in front of the select board, it seemed like we had a lot of events last year. And again, we should probably bring in the select board and let them know what we're doing, because I think when we came that night, I think the town manager was surprised and stuff. So are we going to limit events? Because that does interfere with the parking. We did, I don't know how many weeks, they were scattered, so it did, change the dynamics. Also, do we want to start thinking of cutting back some of the parking, instead of 900 cars, maybe 500 or 750, to get people used to, at some point, maybe not in my lifetime, but we will hopefully do something with the land. And if it's, recreation, public park, we're not going to have all that space. So, these are just some ideas that have been floating. I think the board has discussed, but we really should start planning with this RFP as well.
Is there a way to work back? Well, first of all, I wouldn't say that HRA would eat any cost. Whatever the cost that incurred this summer or next summer, it would be taken out of this pool of money that would be, made. And I guess the reason I was thinking that is that, let's just say, I'm part of the Council on Aging crew, and I get a crappy week, so pool all the money together and then whatever the costs are. But another way to look at solving the problem of events is couldn't the HRA dictate the weeks that there will be events? In other words, from June 1st to June 30th, there'll be no parking. It'll be open for RFPs for events. I mean, I think it's worth the conversation, because, again, reading back over the last few years of minutes, pretty much from December until May, parking has been on the agenda. So it's just a thought. I'm not just listening.
Adrian, go ahead.
Thank you. I think it's an interesting idea. I agree. I have a lot of similar concerns to Joan. Do you remember about what we paid for parking? What we paid for police detail last year?
There's 30-something thousand.
30-something.
38,000.
All right, so like 35,000 for parking, for police detail. And then, would the nonprofit groups have to get liability insurance, right? Like, could they, make that happen? So it sounds like a brilliant idea, but then who's gonna manage it? Like, who's gonna decide which weeks are which? Are we gonna be in charge of making sure there are people there? And then if a group doesn't show and there's just the parking lot is not attended. I want to have some respect for, or just have some consideration for these groups that have run the parking for so many years. And it's a lot that doesn't have marked spaces. So it has to have some consideration for filling it thoughtfully and leaving appropriate space and stuff. Something that, high school kids or volunteers or whatever might be able to do just fine, but also there may be some struggles, and then who's responsible for that? So I think it's an interesting idea. I also do want to just acknowledge the fact that I believe this board for the past several years, which will come up again later tonight, but had kind of made the agreement to no longer donate to any nonprofits in town, because if we fulfill one request from one nonprofit, then the next one, then we have to fill that one, and it's just, so I believe for the past few years, there's been a kind of, we're not donating to any nonprofits as a board. But if we do open it up generally, maybe it could work, but then maybe also there'd be too many nonprofits and people wouldn't get enough money to make it worth their while, perhaps. So again, I'm happy to consider it, but I just want to bring up all these like details that would need to be worked out. I also just want to be mindful of the fact, as we bring up kind of every year, that this isn't our main mission to like run parking on the HRA. So as Joan said, maybe, or not as you said, but as you referenced, you know, maybe this is the year we don't have parking, and then we don't actually worry about this at all, and we focus on the urban renewal plan. I know the select board said, or at least one member of the select board said to us last year, you know, I don't want to see you here again. So we could fulfill their wish by just not having parking on the lots at all this summer. There is still the DCR lot there. If we don't have parking, I don't see how we could be on the hook for police detail, so that would save us money. So, you know, there's another option just to throw on the table.
Mark, you had your hand up.
And just to reinforce some of those issues that have already been raised, there's the issue of liability and liability distributed among multiple nonprofit organizations. There's accountability in terms of what happens when volunteers don't show up or don't know how to perform the function. And then the overarching concern of HRA this past year was that if there was going to be parking, that it would be electronic payment using digital technology, which would be difficult to coordinate over multiple nonprofit organizations, and then data collection as well. So all of those issues suggest that a more unified approach is more appropriate, and people who have professional experience doing that. So I think it's an appropriate question to ask whether parking is part of the mission of HRA, but I think if parking management is part of that, then I think having professionals do it is really the right way to go.
Dan, go ahead.
So if you combine a couple of these discussions, you reduce the amount of parking. A lot of people seem to be fully capable of managing smaller lots around town. So if it was a smaller number, it might become more practical. Two, once we figure out how you tell one, you've got to train them anyway. I mean, it's not a huge training thing, but they need to know. And the next thing about the whole liability thing, they do a carnival, and it does go to them. They do have a certain amount of insurance because they do park the cars for the carnival. They support things around the carnival already. They do distribute the money among multiple charities. So some of this might not be insurmountable, but it would require more effort than just a simple article. So we are pretty busy. So but it could work if we chose one to start reducing the amount of parking. It becomes a little bit more manageable. On the other upside, so I sit on this one upside, if we have a non-profit doing it, they aren't locked into every day because it's all charity. It's our charity. And if we get an event that we really love, we vote that, just don't pay your people. It comes out of the overall pool. There is enough money in the pool to cover people there all the time with us having an event that we didn't schedule. So something really valuable to the town, some sort of craft fair that we I can't believe that there's an opportunity to do this for the town. We all love it. The select board loves it. Everybody loves it. Hey, the parking vendor is now a little more flexible. In fact, totally subjected to our whim. So there is that. There's a couple merits to the putting in a little more effort, because we maybe can capitalize that and be able to do something special. As well as, well, who cares if we just relegated Fib Street to parking and we don't park anybody on the main event lot, and we can do the events without all this hassle, and we work a whole lot less hard just by making the parking less. and then just find a parking vendor who wants to manage it. That, I'm sure that if we do sharing and a few other things, plus it'd be a lot less police detail. Anyhow, I'm not.
Adrian, go ahead.
Thank you. And did I just lose my train of thought?
Sorry.
It's gone.
I
It'll come
rambled
back.
on. I rambled on too long.
No, it's fine. Should have made a note.
Mr. Taverna, go ahead.
Thank you.
Identify yourself, please.
Jerry Taverna, 67th Street, speaking as a private citizen. I had a question, and it's funny you brought up that suggestion, but last year there was one bidder on the HRA lot. I'm wondering if the HRA kind of has a backup plan for the possibility that nobody bids on these lots. You know, we did have a commercial operator a couple of years ago. They decided not to bid for whatever reason. I don't know the market at all, but I think the HRA should have a plan. I know there was talk at one time of the HRA running the lots. I think the suggestion by Mr. Richardson is a really good one. I don't know what the feedback would be, but to give a nonprofit the opportunity to run the lots, maybe at a reduced rate, a reduced parking rate, a reduced fee to the town would be a win-win for the town. But it would operate, I would imagine, the same way. The fees would all be reduced slightly, say 80% as a rough number. But you'd give a nonprofit like the one suggested the opportunity to say, hey, we could hire temporary help for the summer, weather dependent, you know, operate the lots just like everyone else has done it, and it could be something they're interested in. I don't know, but so that's the question. And again, the HRA, the answer could be to park no cars, as was suggested. That, you know, again, people have pros and cons for both. A lot of people say all those cars come in, right, and they don't stay and go to the restaurants and all that kind of stuff. But on the other side, the beach is a public benefit that should be enjoyed by the public, including people from out of town, which this is their opportunity to, you know, Juneteenth, that parking lot is jammed with 900 cars. We all know that story, so.
All right, so I'm going to pipe in because I've watched this go round and round over the years in many different iterations with the parking, when the HRA did run the parking. Logistically, it's kind of a nightmare unless you have an operator or you have a plan in place to operate it. And so the board, I think this board has to make a determination, A, are we going to operate parking lots? And if we are going to operate parking lots, are we going to operate 900 cars? Or are we going to do Fifth Street and we're going to do Water Street and keep the main lot open, or some hybrid thereof? And then the question becomes, how are we going to operate them? Are we going to put them back out to bid? Last year we got one bidder. The year before we had two bidders. One of the bidders didn't come back from the year before. And so the operation management changed how it was operated. And so I think the HRA, if we're going to operate the parking lots, we should look at what the town did with the app, where you pull in, you hit the app, you pay for parking, and then it's up to the HRA to provide the labor to direct traffic and clean up the lots. But now we'll be able to track every dime that comes in, and we do the same type of app. And I did talk to council about having the authority to ticket on the redevelopment authority lots, where we could give the town the authority to ticket cars that don't pay. So that would be a revenue source for the town as well, so if they're trying to beat the gaff. And so now we'll be able to monitor how much is coming in, what we're doing for numbers, and, you know, if the board wants to help with nonprofits, we can offer them event space and stuff like that. And just, the event space isn't part of the topic of conversation tonight, but I do want to speak briefly because it was brought up. I know last year the select board was looking to get the list of events early in the season. They don't want us coming in March and saying we're going to have these events on big summer weekends where we're expecting 2,000-3,000 people, and they're going to need details. Generally, years past, we've had 2 carnivals. Last year we had that Christian revival event, which brought a lot of people down there. And there were some nice events down there. And so I think it behooves the townspeople and people that are involved, if they want to get an event on the HRA this summer, now's the time to book the space. And then this board has to kind of make a decision of what direction we're going to go. We're going to operate the parking lots, all of them. I think we should continue to operate the parking lot at Water Street. These are my personal opinions, because Water Street's a very busy lot. We should continue to give Hull citizens that with stickers free parking on a first-come, first-served basis. I think we should definitely operate the Fifth Street lot. That's the busiest lot of the redevelopment authority lots on beach days. It's adjacent to the bathhouse. Now, we could take the tack that we're not gonna open the big lot unless we're getting, it's a July weekend, it's gonna be 90 degrees, and you know what, maybe it's worth our while that day to staff that lot. It's so, I'm throwing all these ideas out there because we're kind of spitballing ideas here, but I think it's up to us to manage it properly, because if we just give it to nonprofits to run, I think we're gonna have a logistical nightmare on our hands, and then, who's gonna clean up the lot? Everybody comes to the beach, they pay $20 to park, they get to their car and they dump their garbage on the HRA lot. I'd pay $20, I don't have to take my garbage with me. And so, logistically, we gotta be able to step up to the plate. I'm sure the town's gonna still wanna do police details, but at least if we did something along those lines, we'd be able to gauge what we're bringing in, and if the town was able to ticket on that lot, and we could figure out how much they ticketed on that lot, maybe we can offset the police details 27, or hopefully by 27, we've come to an agreement on some sort of reuse of that property, one way or the other. So, those are just my thoughts on it. I don't know what the rest of the board there feels. Cindy, go ahead.
Cindy Borges, Hancock. I don't know if there's been any thought as to local businesses being able to lease out part of the HRA lots on a regular basis. Like, when Shoreline was there, they were asking for the triangle lot, and then that didn't happen last year. So if there's a lot that's not being rented, maybe you could rent a portion of it to the local businesses, just like the one from the hotel. A lot of people from the hotel also park on the street, which ties up the business spots for the businesses. So I don't know if there's been any thought as to local businesses and parking.
Dan, go ahead.
What's it called? The whole common, whatever,
Common,
is that what it's called? Common?
fenced off
Yeah,
part of the
fenced
big
off
lot.
is available to businesses, and we've been trying to, or at least last year, we put a outreach to try to get people to want to do activities, and the rent on that is just the, our administrative fee kind of thing. But they have to have insurance, and most, I guess, businesses would, but we've not had any takers since, what was it, High C, something like that, a few years back.
Vitamin C.
Vitamin C beer.
Vitamin C Brewery. Yep.
For a few years back. I actually reached out to Doc, whatever, the beer place.
Dr. Island.
And asked them, he said, well, we're too new. I mean, maybe in a year or so, they'll have kind of established their process. And he was interested, but he said, we just, we're not ready to put a beer garden there yet. So I don't know what we can do to get the businesses to utilize it,
just that they may want to lease it for parking.
Oh, for parking. Oh.
For their own businesses, because like Shoreline, Boathouse Bistro is doing phenomenal, but they have no parking in the summer. And
Yeah.
it's gonna
Oh,
be a
that's a
problem.
nice idea.
Hey, go ahead.
For a lot of those businesses.
Mhm.
I think we're not averse to that. Like, I think with Shoreline, we just never heard back from them again after they reached out to us. So we even had a restaurant that was there before Boathouse. They came to us and we changed the signage on the parking or something
yeah.
to help them. So like, we're here if anybody wants to tell the businesses.
Last year, I don't think there was anything. I think they wanted to rent that lot until 8 o'clock at night or something, I thought last year, the triangle lot.
They did. The parking operator did want to change the parking hours to 8 o'clock, and I believe we said no. So,
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
So it was.
But I'm just saying, if there is
after.
a whole empty lot available, perhaps a way to create some revenue would be to offer it to the businesses. Maybe they could.
Yep, it would just be, that again gets into more complicated logistics, right? Because if that off lot is then just sitting there, even if it has a sign that says, this is for Shoreline, who is enforcing that? And then is Shoreline gonna be expecting us to enforce that? And so it just gets into logistics, but, and just generally, so a couple notes. First of all, in terms of events, last year, we had a deadline of January 15th for people to come to us with events to get on the calendar for last year, and we had quite a few. This year we have none. No one has reached out, no one has submitted, nothing. So that may not be as much of an issue this year. I don't think we have, as a board, discussed, or we very briefly discussed last year, of what we would do if there were no bids. We ended up not having to move forward with that discussion, but it's not really something we've seriously discussed yet, which I have to agree. I think this year we would be very concerned to not get any bids potentially, but I think we kind of want to get, well, oh, and then Bartley, on your point about working with the town, I would just be very curious, like, if the town would want to, or even have the capacity to ticket those whole lots. Granted, it might be easier for them because it's all in one spot and they could just write a bunch of tickets, make a bunch of money, but I would still want to check in because in my experience in this town, enforcement of parking doesn't happen all that often, and so we have people parking all over town without being ticketed. But I think this whole conversation, all these great ideas, really comes back to, are we a parking authority or are we a redevelopment authority? Because I think actually the RFP, which does take up a lot of time, especially the last couple of years where we've rewritten it, I think it was very cut and dry for years in the past, and took up far less time. But for the past couple of years where we've really rewritten and tried to update the RFP, it has taken up a lot of time. So now it's, do we want to spend that amount of time and then it's hopefully settled for the whole rest of the year? Or do we want to have an active hand in managing either we're running the parking or managing nonprofits running the parking? Or do we want to be working on a draft urban renewal plan and trying to do our mission here? So, I mean, I personally am leaning more and more toward no parking and let's see what happens. But I would, of course, be interested in hearing citizen feedback and, honestly, the town's feedback and the select board's feedback, because even though they said to us last year they don't want to see us back, I don't know if we said, hey, we're doing no parking, if the select board would suddenly panic and go, no, we need that parking there. So we don't know. Be interesting to see.
Susan, go ahead.
Susan Vermillion, E Street. I think about the Hingham Shipyard parking lot and how that's self-managed. And is that something that may be feasible in the Fifth Street lot? In that, there they have a parking app, that you have to, and somebody has to enforce that, but there's also these types of systems where it prints out a ticket and you put it on your dashboard and, police can come around, and if there's no ticket on your dashboard, then they have an opportunity to ticket and raise some money for the town. But my thing is that on those crazy summer days, will it be too chaotic because you don't have somebody managing people coming and going? And so there's sort of that downside, but I'm just kind of thinking about other opportunities you might have.
Yeah. Adrian, go ahead.
I think we are at a serious disadvantage because, well, I'm glad it's not a paved lot. It would be a whole lot uglier. But it's not a paved lot. There are no defined spaces where we can say, go be adults, park. That's not what we're dealing with here. So we really do need people saying where to park. And on those crazy days, can you imagine if it wasn't managed and people were leaving space for, cut-throughs and it would be potentially nightmare. And so who's managing that? Is it this board? Is it someone we pay? Or is it empty? And then people are telling us that it's the Geeses all summer and they're upset. I don't know. I don't have the right
I guess you really got to give it some thought.
Yeah.
The time to think about it is now. That's why
It
we're
is.
having a discussion.
It is. The time is
And
now.
so, just to touch on a few things, it was cut and dry a few years ago, and there was competitive bids, and we did get more money for the parking lots going that direction. Now it's leaning the other direction. I think we should, as a board, look at it and say, hey, maybe we cut back the parking lots, we manage Fifth Street and Water Street, and figure out, maybe we put those out to bid, or we put in place the scan and pay by the app. But you're still gonna need people to manage the lots on site on those beach days, to direct traffic, clean up. You're gonna need people to clean up. So that's why years past, I've been through this on far too long. And so there's give and take on either side of the issue. Whatever you do, whatever action you take, there's gonna be some benefits and some drawbacks. The drawback to the HRA running a lot is now it's a lot of work for the HRA, and now we have to have employees, we gotta carry workman's comp, and we gotta do all this logistics. The benefit is the HRA knows how much money's coming in, they know what's going on, and we can manage it. The other side with the contractor, competitive bids, if they're making money, generally they bid against each other and the price goes up. So, and it's up to them to manage the lots and clean up. So I think, this board's got to kind of take it over and choose a direction.
Did the change happen when the town instituted that fee? Is that what was causing people not to bid on it? Because that $50,000 price tag is pretty hefty when you're a newcomer coming in and you have no idea what your income's going to be.
It directly affected what the value of the lot was, because if you're paying, before it was a $10 per car fee to the town, went from $10 to $50. So you do the math, you're paying $40 extra a car.
That's
You
costing
get 900 cars, that's $36,000 extra in a permit fee. That $36,000 is coming off your bid price. Because it is a crapshoot because,
You don't know the weather.
you're dependent on the weather.
Yeah.
So. Mark, go ahead.
I just did want to mention, as in terms of information from the process last year, that there were 4 organizations that requested the RFP, and only 1 submitted an application. And the indication was that other potential applicants didn't bid because the minimum bid was considered too high in terms of the financial risk involved. And so that's why when there was only 1 bid and the question of what would happen if that bid were not acceptable, HRA decided what the plan B would be. And that decision was to lower the minimum bid price and require a revenue sharing plan from each of the applicants. So I think potentially there could be more applications if the RFP were crafted in such a way that the minimum bid was lower to make it financially viable, and then any revenue above and beyond that minimum would then be shared with HRA. I think that's a way to make the application process more robust, to get potentially more applications and so on. But there were multiple people interested in the RFP, and Laz was one of them, and they decided not to bid last year. And I don't know whether HRA was satisfied with the experience of working with Laz, but they would potentially be an applicant if the RFP were somewhat different.
Liz Kay, go ahead.
Liz Kay, 45 Hampton Circle. I'm just curious about Laz. I mean, they're a very well-known national and local firm. Did you have a debrief with them about the pros and cons and what happened through that summer that would make a big company who's got capacity to be able to sort of be a little bit more fluid with their first year of working with you? Like, what was the debrief about that would stop them? They're used to rainy summers, right?
Well, generally, their parking lots aren't weather dependent. They're generally.
All over Rhode Island. They were in Rhode Island all the way down
State.
down to the water. I mean, those guys have been dealing with big rained out events throughout New England, across the country for years. So I was just curious. I mean, there's so much to learn from them, right? As a really reputable firm, I just didn't know if there's an opportunity to sort of have a conversation with them that might provide a little bit more insight.
I think part of it was the summer that they took over. It wasn't a great summer weather-wise, and so back to what Mark's point was, the minimum bid price was here, and after they ran the parking lot for the summer, it wasn't worth it for that price.
Yeah. I would highly recommend that you do a solid debrief with them instead of making assumptions on there.
Dan, go ahead.
They may be able to help you.
There was a debrief.
Well, there was.
And there were multiple off-the-record conversations. They evaluated the thing, right? And the first time they put in their proposal, they really wanted to do what you're saying. I mean, that's where the idea came from. Them, as well as 3 or 4 of the large parking vendors, wanted to do revenue sharing as part of it. But they wanted to win the first time so they could experience it. So they did bid more and had a break even, really, was their expectation, and they got close to break even. So they wouldn't do it without that being clearly defined in how we would evaluate it, one.
Okay.
Second, they had no desire to have a fluctuating price. They figured that if they charged more when people wanted to come, that it would give their business a bad name, that this is not good for their image. So the model that Dunn was able to use so that it was profitable was key, that he was allowed to adjust the price when the demand was high. And Laz looked at that model and said, I'm not going to do that. I pick a price, and the price is there, and it has to work because, you know, they've tried that sort of thing, and they've been involved in state parks and a variety of things, and it's like, no, you just don't, you don't do that. I mean, they do that in Boston, you know, but I mean, it's on the sign, and it doesn't change. It's like, okay, event parking is different, and people know that if we've got, like, you know, the Boston Pop thing, you know, it's going to be different, but it's really kind of an exception rather than the way they would do it. So you know that it's going to be special before you start heading towards town, if that makes any sense. So they didn't want to do that. So that is how come they did not bid, and they wouldn't bid again unless we adjust the price. I don't know, though, if we go to fewer parking, that they would bid either. They have kind of a model, because this is kind of a little bit more maintenance than even some of the kind of more like state things that they do, because truly, we got a dirt field. You know, it's a little, takes a little bit more work than a you know, a regular kind of
Yeah, that's like Westport.
state park kind of. So.
Thank you.
Susan, go ahead.
Susan Vermillion, East Street. Do we know what the break-even point is for HRA in terms of parking, in terms of all the fees that you have to pay for? You know, the lawn cutting, the police detail, the fee to the town. I don't know if it's paid by you or paid by the vendor. But what is your break-even point in terms of the fees that you have to pay to maintain the land versus what you are thinking of bringing in? Because you're not really, like, you don't really need to make a ton of money on this, right? You just want to be able to do, you know, I mean, yeah, maybe you want to make some, but.
But no, I mean, it is pretty expensive. Do you
But
have
if
those
you-
numbers are kind of a ballpark?
The only number I have, police detail, last year, I mean, this year, I'm already thinking of 2026, but 2025 did the clean mowing, so we didn't pay for any mowing.
So you didn't Tyler Gray didn't do it?
No, but the
He
lot
does the-
itself, the cleanup, so part of what the vendor does is they pick up all the trash,
Yeah.
which some of it just blows there from the beach, right? And they mow, right, and keep the thing clean. So that we don't pay for because they're there. So there's a
Which we haven't
opportunity cost.
always done that, right?
No, that we just did it this year.
We've done it for a number of years. It
Yeah.
was always the parking lots operator's responsibility to clean and cut the lots
Yeah.
that they were managing. And so, to your question, we paid, what, 35 grand roughly for
Yeah,
police details this year?
38,000 for the
And
police
then-
detail.
The permit fee, depending on how many cars you park, if you're parking 900 cars at $50 a car, that's 45,000. So right there, you're at $80,000 before you park a car for the HRA to break even.
Well, we
But
don't.
right, but we don't pay that.
No, I'm just saying.
If we
they
were,
had-
if we were operating.
Yeah, but the question was, what's the break even?
Well, break even for if we're having a vendor
No,
is
that's-
just the police detail.
But
Right,
the question was,
Right.
what would be the break even? That's,
Yeah.
right.
and so,
So you could still make money and lower the price somewhat to be able to pull. If the demand isn't there, you lower the price, your demand will hopefully increase.
What was the minimum price last year, 175?
175.
And they paid the minimum, we paid the police details,
Right.
and they paid their permit fee.
And
And I say they still made money.
they kept the lot clean.
And they kept the lot
So
clean.
we can count that as income, because it would have cost us another,
Still need a payment.
maybe $10,000 to pick up the trash.
It's a horse of a different color.
So there's some benefit there.
Has the vendor paid the parking fees to the town from last year yet?
That's headed for litigation. That's a
Well, no,
whole,
to the
that's
town.
Secret, though.
To the town.
Or
We
did
don't
they
know
pay-
that. Did they,
Did they
did
pay
they?
the fees to the town, or?
They split
town.
it into 2 payments last year. They
Did they
went
pay
before
them?
the select board to ask to split it into 2 separate payments.
That's between the vendor and the town. We actually are not involved in that.
We don't know.
We don't even know, I don't think.
There might be some spy
But it
in the
might be
corner
part of the
there.
lawsuit, I was thinking. That's what I mentioned.
We're not with the town in a lawsuit. We are doing our own to get what is due to us.
Let's
That
not-
money is not due to us.
All right, I'll ask her.
I don't think we should discuss.
Yes.
So we're getting off topic here, but the parking lots, I think this board, we gotta, number one, choose, are we gonna go to an RFP again? If we're gonna go to an RFP, are we gonna do, 900 car parking lot, or are we gonna do Fifth Street and Water Street and keep the main lot open and unused? And so I think this board, we should be making these decisions. The sooner the better. If we could come to some sort of agreement tonight on the direction we're gonna choose and where we're gonna go, and then we can open up, portions of the other lot for events or whatever. But Adrian, go ahead.
Yes, we have 5 options as I see it that you've just laid out. And I am of the opinion that we should do one of the options that takes the least amount of our time and energy so that we can focus it on our actual mission. We have been using we do have a fiduciary responsibility to the HRA, and so making more money is good for us to hopefully eventually do something with this money. But perhaps that is where we could cut the profit that we're making in order to have somebody managing it for us. But I am in favor of either an edited RFP or no parking at all.
Oh, we're gonna go around the table
Oh, I
and
don't
say
know.
what we think, and then we'll just see, and then we can negotiate, just.
I think we should manage it, Fifth Street lot. That lot's gonna be busy no matter what. If we don't manage it, we're gonna have to put a fence up, because people are gonna be jumping the curb and parking there anyway. And so if they're parking there anyway, we're gonna have to clean up the mess and deal with the logistics, no matter how we slice it. And from my standpoint, the path of least resistance from the HRA is put it back out to bid. If we gotta drop the price to get interest, let's drop the price. And so I think we should, at the very least, operate Fifth Street and Water Street. Water Street's 75-car parking lot, Fifth Street is about 275 cars. And so between those 2 lots, 350 cars total instead of 900. We can do the math and come up with some sort of minimum bid for that, and then, at least it covers our expenses, and hopefully we make a little money. But I don't know what the rest of the board feels.
I can,
I can go with that.
I can share, I got a different
Go ahead.
opinion, yeah. before you go
Hear
with that.
yours.
I think that, I really think that the Water Street lot should just be used as a town lot. I think that I don't know about the police detail supporting parking everywhere, but I have heard, and I don't believe I'm mistaken, that they are completely happy managing the Triangle lot, the Water Street lot, and making sure that it's available for town, because it's so vested in the citizens, in the neighborhood, the citizens who come there with their friends and stuff and want to go to Nantasket Beach, as well as the shops. So it truly supports the town more than any of the other lots, the town itself. And so I've seen a willingness, or I've heard an expression of willingness, and I believe they were doing it, to police that. So I think it should just be a town lot. As far as Fib Street being parked on, or no parking on it, I'd be happy either way. Money's good, but learning what happens to the town when we don't have that thing is, the whole thing being one big parking lot, it'd be better to learn now and have that, so when we're making our decision process as the town and the select board rebel against this perhaps, it'd be very educational. If we put parking on Fib Street, that would, that's not the worst thing, plus money is good. And I think that we should leave the main lot open.
Open,
As in not parking.
I'm parking.
Yeah.
All right, so I got to tell you, I disagree with you wholeheartedly, and I'll tell you why. 2 years ago, the Water Street lot was left for the businesses and town residents to park there. And every weekend that was good, it was filled with tourists. They were parking there. They weren't paying. There was no enforcement because, not because the police don't enforce. It's when the town's that busy, they got to prioritize what their resources go to. And so they don't have the resources to police that lot when it's busy. And so then we're left with a lot that's a mess. We're not getting any revenue from it, and nobody's managing it. I think we could look at how we bid these lots. We could separate them so you're not bidding on both lots. You could bid one lot and another lot. And if the businesses in that area want to get together and say, hey, you know what? We're going to manage that lot, and we're going to bid on the lot. And if they have the authority to charge for parking for beachgoers and, validate parking, because I think, part of the issue going forward for all the businesses in town, and going with DCR, which is getting off topic, is there should be a way for validation. But we're not operators of the parking lot. We're landlords. But if you want to take care of the businesses in that neighborhood, you make it so the people that live in town that have a town sticker, they can park on the HRA lots for free, like we do now. And you could separate the lots, Water Street for lease, a 75-car parking lot for the season, as one bid, and separate Fifth Street as a 275-car parking lot for the season as a bid. And so they're two separate bids, and if the businesses want to get together down there and say, hey, you know what, we'll manage this lot, we'll bid on that lot, and hopefully we break even on bidding on the lot, and we can manage it, we can do validation for our customers or something like that, it's a win-win all the way around. But I think if we leave it to its own devices, I think we're going to have a nightmare on our hands. 2 years ago.
You're right about the nightmare. I do believe that the police don't police anything when it's crazy here, because there's just not enough.
They don't have the resources.
Can we do, though, do we have to have it so that it would be, I don't know, we don't have a lawyer in the room. Do we have to have it free enterprise? Or could we put it to the businesses and try to work something out where we get, they essentially take this on? I mean, it's a great idea, but I don't know if they're going to beat out a parking vendor who, that's the thing. So we would maybe make less, but yeah.
I think if it's a small lot, then I think it's not likely that a parking management company is going to would bid in on that.
Anyway, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And it's likely to be even right at that threshold level of requiring an RFP or not requiring an RFP, because at $50,000,
Yeah.
then it could just be put out to bid in a more conventional system.
So we don't totally disagree.
Not tonight.
Oh, not tonight anyway. On that one detail.
Maggie Merrill.
Behind you
Oh, I'm
first.
sorry. Lisa, 47 Rockaway. First, I think that the HRA should provide some parking, just on the basis of the fact that it is access to the public beach there. And I just think that there's a responsibility to provide parking, as long as you have the space, for visitors and residents to go to the, in addition to the, don't think it should be left only up to the DCR. That's just my feeling. If you're going to have no parking or some parking, I just think it's not a good idea to have no parking. But also, as far as the triangle lot, I think at the other end of the business strip right there, you've got the Parrot parking lot. That's a DCR lot. The DCR owns that lot.
You know that.
And they don't charge at all for it. That ends up being an important public lot for people that are going to the Parrot. I think also other people have figured it out, that they can go to the shops, they can park there to go to the stores. We want the businesses to have parking. There's only limited street parking there. We want, I'm sure everybody wants people to be able to park along Hull Shore Drive there to go to the beach. Also, it is public parking, it's DCR public parking there. So that it makes sense to me at the other end to have the triangle lot be resident and visitor parking, for the businesses. And I understand it would be hard to police it, but you've got the Parrot lot. And the only reason I think people are not concerned about the Parrot lot, because a lot of people don't realize that it's free parking and that it's town-owned, or I mean, that it's DCR. They think that it's the parrot's lot, but the parrot is not paying for that parking lot. So,
It's a 2-hour limit on that lot, too.
Yeah, it's 2 hours.
well, 2-hour limit, so there, you know.
And
So
there's-
what about something like that for the triangle lot?
And there's, it's
Lines.
paved and there's lines.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you don't have to, the police can just go by and they know it's 2 hours, and they can give them a ticket.
that's true.
We're a teeny bit more
And a
complicated.
triangle. It's a hard shape. It's
A triangle.
really hard.
Triangle.
There you go.
Maggie Merrill, 105 Hampton Circle. Just a stupid question, but how many places does the DCR paved lot have? The paved lot where the red house is?
Around 175, I believe.
Okay, so you're going like 275 to 175 to, what's in the Triangle Park? How many is that?
75.
Yeah, so you're decreasing already the parking for the public a lot.
Yes.
So I do think that's a little bit of an issue in the neighborhoods. You know, people are going to come to the beach and want to park, and there's going to be fewer places to park
Oh, yeah.
if it's not managed properly or more is not available. Also, the Triangle Park, last year, a couple of times, I was, as a resident parking sticker person, I was turned away at that lot by whoever the vendor was, charging $25 a day to park in that lot because there was no more space. And they're like, well, you know, you can get in, but hey, you know, we're full. Huh. Go away. And I was sort of like, well, wait a minute. So I think it would be great if there was a way to say to whoever is managing that little triangle to just like put aside 20 spots for those stickers. That's all. I was disappointed. And I'm sure other people were too, with a load of junk.
And just a point of information about the lots, 80% of the time, the Fifth Street lot and the Water Street lot would be enough parking for down there.
80% of the time.
Yeah.
Probably more than that.
Probably 85, but I didn't want to overstep. But, you know, those weekends where you got a full lot, you could probably fit another 1,000 cars down there if you had the room. Because when it's 95 degrees and it's a Saturday or Sunday in July, everybody's going to the beach, and especially the beginning of the season, because everybody's, you know, they're not beached out yet.
And just on that note, like, and I think I've said this before, I agree with you, Lisa, that like public access to the beach is important. I 100% agree with you. I don't think that's the HRA's responsibility though, right? The HRA's responsibility is to develop this space. That's our responsibility. That may include parking, absolutely. May include access to the beach or amenities to the beach or something that complements the beach, absolutely. But you know, if our primary objective was parking, then we should just pave the entire lots and leave it empty 10 months out of the year, which I don't think that's actually the best use of space. I do think, though, that at some point, the town and the DCR do need to figure out how people get to this beach. We are not unique. You go to beaches all over the world and they have shuttle buses, they have satellite parking, they have better public transportation, they have ways to get to the beach that don't involve driving a car onto a peninsula where you will get stuck in a bottleneck. That's it. We are a bottleneck, end of story. And so part of the reason I'm interested, and have been since I joined this board, of shrinking the parking is to try to force the town and the DCR to start working on a plan for when this isn't a 900 car parking lot, right? They're not going to do it until they have to. And so I would at least love us to shrink the amount of parking that we are providing as an experiment to see what happens. You know, what is it going to do to the town? Is it actually going to be worse for the neighborhoods or not? Are people going to learn quickly, oh, this town doesn't have the parking it used to anymore?
So they won't come.
Yep. Maybe they won't come, or maybe they'll make alternative arrangements, right? You know, having some kind of shuttle or trolley system or something that takes people from out of town. It's a terrible idea to drive your car into Hull on a sunny day, right? You will get stuck in traffic. We all know, we live here. And on those certain days, there will be traffic. That is, I don't see how we can actually ever fix that because of the geography of the town. But if we can encourage other ways to get to the beach, I would love to be part of that encouragement. Because otherwise, if we're just supposed to solve beach parking, let's just pave the whole thing now.
And the urban renewal plan, and just do parking for the rest of
Well, the
their
urban
life.
renewal plan could be
Parking.
parking lot.
Oh, that's so easy.
But I think for 10 months out of the year, all of us would get sick of looking at a paved parking lot, as we have been sick of looking at a dirt parking lot.
They wrote a song about that.
It's only a couple weekends that you even need.
Exactly.
parking.
Susan, go ahead.
Susan Vermillion, East Street. One of the other things that you know, because we're on EDC together, is we're looking at like trying to direct more people traffic-wise off of George Washington Boulevard into the George Washington lot that I don't think is really used right now all that much, even on those busy summer days. Do you think that lot gets filled?
It's one of the last ones to fill.
Exactly. It does.
But if we can direct people in there first, it will help with the bottleneck, it'll help with some of that, because then you can fill those lots. And so, you know, we're hoping to put some signage up over there to get people, you know, to change their behavior. And then the other thing that one of the businesses had brought up was to promote some shuttling from the Hingham Shipyard, right? To that lot, you know, doesn't get fully utilized in the summer weekends. And that's a great lot that we could try to bring some people in. And so if our MBTA bus or, you know, any of the shuttles can rotate through around there, that's going to be a big thing to be able to bring people into the beach.
The problem I see is that human nature is people, they want to drive to where they're going. They want to be able to get in their car when it's time to leave. Their kid's acting up and they want to leave, they want to walk to their car and go. So until you make it unavailable, they're not going to move off that dime. And so I think for this board, I think, you know, we're talking about shrinking it down. I'd make a motion that we put the Water Street lot out to bid as a separate lot and put the Fifth Street lot out to bid as a separate lot and work on the logistics of what those bids would require, what the price would be, so we can guarantee that we get a bidder and an operator to manage those lots. And if the businesses in that neighborhood want to bid on that lot, I'd encourage them to bid on it. They know that lot better than anybody else. And one of those businesses might be able to make a buck at it, or a couple of them might be able to make a buck at it at the lot and control their parking, so, and, you know, do validation. And then it'll give a taste of what reduced parking on the HRA would do to the neighborhoods on those peak days. And the HRA would still be making some revenue, and we'd solve our problem for this coming year for parking, and we could go from there and manage the lots. So I'd make that as a motion.
Yeah, I'll get it on the recording.
All right, well, I'll make the motion again.
Oh,
I'll make the motion to put the Water Street lot out to bid as a separate lot by itself, and the Fifth Street lot out to bid as a separate lot by itself, and to not operate parking in the main lot this season. Is there a second to that?
second.
Adrian, second. I was going to second, but go ahead.
All right. Any further discussion or questions from the board?
Just question, you're separating the two, is it mostly because the Water Street, it might entice a local business nearby to take over just that and not the whole? Okay.
Yep. And it gives some local entrepreneurs, you know, an opportunity to bid.
Okay.
Just to clarify, the motion should be able to stand this way, but we do realize that all of the lots except whole stickers, they just, depending on how it works, because there was no difference between that triangle lot and any other lot. It's just that that's where the residents went first. Right.
Was that lot C?
Could you say that again, please?
That when we put it out to bid, the person bidding on it has to understand that that's the preferred lot. Well, we won't have to point this out, but it is the preferred lot for residents. So it's really going to generate less revenue than the amount that it would hold compared to Fib Street. People don't drive and park at Fib Street. They drive to park in the triangle lot so they can go.
So just one of my questions is there a proviso in this RFP, and I probably missed it, but that whoever bids on this has to let people with stickers park?
That's
anywhere on the HR.
I just want to make sure of that.
We haven't crafted the RFP yet, but that's
right in there.
That's the provisions of the RFP. This is just to determine what lots would be eligible for parking this year and how they would be bid.
Just sticking up for
Adrian, go ahead.
Stickers.
Yes.
Just a point of
Even if the
information.
business owns it.
A point of information to remind us and to remind the public, when we did actually get numbers that one year, the number of town stickers in the Phipps Street lot was very small, actually.
Yeah, really.
We weren't keeping track in the Water Street lot that year, but we were actually curious to see how many residents were parking in the beach parking lots, and the number was very small.
It was higher in the Triangle lot because people I know were parked there in numbers greater than in Phipps Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just that little triangle.
And if you had a sticker and you're gonna go to one of the businesses there, you pull in there and, you know, if you wanna go to the hotel or you wanna go to, you know, the bakery across the street or wherever, so.
Yeah.
Cindy,
You were talking about.
name and address,
George
please.
Washington.
Identify yourself.
Cindy Borges, you were talking about George Washington Boulevard parking lot. There's no access anymore. You have to walk completely around. There's no art walk access. You have to walk fully around an entire thing. Imagine 90 degrees with a family getting out at George Washington Boulevard and walking around. You have to go all the way around to Jake's, all the way around to the carousel, or all the way around. People are confused to begin with, which way to even go, because you don't, just as beach access that way. It's a terrible setup. It's almost a recipe for disaster to really start inviting people to our town until we have our parking worked out. Every other town you go to, you check on their website and it has a parking here, parking there. We have none of that. I've said it all along. Put P's for where the parking goes, but like, you can't invite people to our town and then just be like, you can't park anywhere, everything's restricted. Park at the DCR, maybe in the back lot while they're doing the construction for the next 2 years. Maybe over at Phipps Street, and then where else? Like, we have parking is a problem to invite people to our town. And we need to address that. George Washington Boulevard is basically inaccessible for the next 2 years. It would be really disheartening to a family to come here, park here, and have to walk that distance to get to the beach as an alternative, if that's what you're considering.
I didn't realize that that wasn't open.
No, they closed that. They said they were going to keep it open, but they don't.
You mind just real quick? Just really quick, Cindy, I guess I hear what you're saying, but again, I think it goes back to it's not our responsibility. Like, should we just do nothing until the Paragon project is done?
Well, maybe it'll force the town, like you said, to consider what the issues are, because, but I'm just saying the economic development committee is working on.
We're not gonna get into,
inviting people.
we're not gonna get into a back and forth. You gotta get recognized through the chair. We're not gonna go back and forth. Mr. Taverna.
Sure,
identify.
67th Street. So it sounds like I'm kind of, I think I like the conversation and the way this is going, but, so in your proposal, the big lot would be empty.
Big lot.
So would the HRA consider making that lot a Hull resident-only lot? Again, that's a way for the town to potentially make money. If there's no Hull resident sticker on there, the police can ticket it. But also, that takes the load off of the small, how many spots are in the Water Street lot?
Water Street lot 75.
So I'm just thinking that a lot of those businesses need employee parking as well as customer parking spots. So you might be right, something might jump on that, but if you throw that caveat, they have to provide parking for residents too. Meanwhile, we have this big, massive open lot sitting there. That could be just for Hull residents.
But the logistics of leaving that open for Hull residents,
Right.
the first thing that's gonna happen on the first good beach day is gonna be full with
Chaos.
people that aren't paying. Now your parking lot operator's not getting paid,
Yeah.
and they're parking for free. That's,
$100 a pop.
yeah, but nobody's gonna,
Put up some good signage.
the enforcement won't be there. It's logistically, I get what you're saying, and I like it, but logistically, it'll be a nightmare.
If we want to hire a ton of ticket givers for those busy days, let's do it. Let's make the town a ton of money, but like,
So again, I'm picturing this on a day like Juneteenth, and a million cars are coming in, they can't find any place to park. Also, people are trying to get to restaurants that live in town. And there's this big open lot sitting there that's just basically gonna be unused. It
Yep.
just seems counterintuitive, I guess.
Right.
would
But
the town ever want to take over and manage some lots all
I'm
summer?
not allowed to speak for the town.
I'm just saying, like, is that something we should ask the town? Hey, you want to manage these all summer?
right.
It's a tough thing. I think you're right in that it's not the HRA's responsibility to provide public parking. It's just not. It's not your charge.
And definitely
It's a good
not
thing that you're doing.
for the DCRP.
I agree, it's been a good thing for 40 years, however long, 30 years, however long it's been going on, but it does have to end at some point, in some way.
All right, so there's a motion on the table, it's been accepted.
Yep.
Any further discussion from the board members? All those in favor of putting the parking lots out to bid as I made in the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Unanimous. All right. So the main lot will be, we should encourage
Events.
anybody that's looking to do an event or anything that they want to do for the season to get their applications in sooner rather than later, because we don't want to be going to selectmen in March looking to have major events on holiday weekends and, you know, summer weekends when it's going to be busy.
Do we want to reach out to the carnival?
Yes. I'll reach out to Heifer and Boosters.
Lisa French, 47 Rockaway. I don't know, is it strange, but what about the chance that maybe the DCR might manage, say, part of the center lot or something? I mean, talking about the town, maybe if they wanted to, but what about the DCR? Since they're already managing that lot, and they want to make sure that the public have access to the beach, what about that option? Just wondering.
I don't think that's an option for this year, if it's something looking forward, but I think, to Adrian's point, with the redevelopment authority, our mission is to do something with the property, and there is going to be limited parking going forward. This year, we'll be down to 350 spaces on the HRA property itself, and like I said, 80-85% of the time, that's plenty of parking for down there. Those weekends where you got a full lot, 900 cars, there's not enough parking in town anywhere, and that overflow is going to be there no matter what. So I think, you know, we should head on the path we're going with the parking lot and then get back to the mission at hand, and let's get our urban renewal plan in place. Dan?
We passed that, right? So we can talk about the things that are floating around the edge. The floating around the edge is that, say 3 weekends where it's almost a crime that they don't park on our lot versus in your front yard, because they're going to be parked on your front yard anyway. So do we work with the town or anybody? Do we, going forward, what we might do on those 3 or 4 days, or do we just keep it closed and we made the decision here?
I'd say we make the decision here and lock it down.
Exactly.
You know,
Okay.
It gets too complicated.
No, I know, I just.
What's the
we-
change?
if that's the case, you manage it as a 900 parking lot.
Yeah.
Right, so, okay.
All enough.
But I just wanted to know if we were making that decision, because we kept mentioning it, but we have that in our
Okay.
minutes. Okay.
I don't know about the rest of the board, but if someone came to us and made us an offer, like, that would allow the middle lot to be usable with not much involvement from us, we would then consider it at that time.
I think we'd be undercutting our bidders if somebody comes in and says, hey, I want to manage that lot for you, and we just put out a lot here for bid and a lot here for bid.
I think
Now
I
you-
more mean if it was like a town situation.
Yes,
I mean,
maybe.
Are we allowed to cut the town a different deal than anyone else? I actually don't know.
We should.
I don't.
Right, I'm fine
I don't
moving
know.
forward.
I don't want to make things complicated. I like to keep
I
it simple.
agree.
All right, we have.
So either run it as a 900 car parking lot and put it out to bid, or
Well,
break it up into 3 parking lots and put them out separately. I don't care.
I'm glad we at least raised this, we've discussed it, so we don't
It's on the record.
hear it on the fly and then
All right, so we've
do something
got a
stupid at
plan
the last
going
minute.
forward.
Okay, good.
And now, Mark, think about
Pricing.
what a proper minimum bid would be for those parking lots. And
Sure. So I'm assuming that I'll be crafting those RFPs for the.
yeah, so you just crafting the same RFP, but breaking it down into
2 lots.
Right.
So how are we, okay, now we're not talking about the real thing, right? So how are we going to handle, or are we going to try to handle the issue with revenue sharing? Because even when it's smaller, the big vendors that, and I don't remember it all because it's been going back a couple of years, but the big vendors consistently brought up the fact that this risk, because of weather, they would rather share the risk and the upside with us, right? Because of the, $50 to get into it for every lot. They're pretty positive at a certain point because of that it's worth the number that they're doing, but there's still this risk. of losing money. And, you know, they're, in the bigger places, what they have is they have a regional manager who's accountable for not losing money anywhere, if that makes any sense. So it is a big black eye to the regional manager. So Laz didn't do it because the regional manager made the decision. But Laz would have done it again, right, if the regional manager went around with it. But him losing money, it just didn't look good. We didn't do a revenue sharing. And so they did.
Revenue sharing, it was just that the minimum bid was considered too high.
Right, right. The sweet spot started too high. That's what I'm getting at. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So.
And just to clarify, and maybe it would make sense to identify a subcommittee of HRA people to just be part of the conversation on the RFP. So just one or two folks who would be the folks who would work with me on the draft RFP prior to the public meetings. And then I guess will HRA want the same sort of data collection requirements and.
Yeah. And I think as part of the RFP going forward, let's put a provision that no family members, relatives can bid on the parking lots, then I can work on the subcommittee and I don't have to deal with any craziness from my relatives.
And presumably also language about previous unfortunate
Yes.
relationships with HRA.
Let's learn from our past experience.
Yes.
Yes.
Do we want to nominate a couple people? I'd definitely like Dan, because Dan.
No, Dan doesn't want to do parking. I paid my parking dues.
You have experience.
So now you
Come
have
on.
to move forward.
It's going to be easy this time. You got Mark.
You got
It's
Mark
gonna be
doing
great.
the RFP.
All right, fine. Mark does it all for me anyway. I get credit, and Mark does all the work. All right, fine.
I'd be happy to
Same
work on
document.
it. Yeah, I'd be happy to. I'd be happy to
Dan
work
and
on
Bob.
it.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Dan and Bartley to the parking subcommittee.
It's going to be scary because we'll probably agree in this. We won't know what to do.
Matt,
I second it.
It's going to be great.
motion made by Adrian, seconded by Charlie.
Thank you.
All those in favor,
Aye.
signify by saying aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Unanimous, all right. All right, next thing on the agenda. Oh, go ahead.
Are we going to talk about vendors and?
Yeah, actually, yeah,
Should I talk about that?
go right ahead.
All right.
That should be pretty straightforward.
It should be pretty straightforward. So I just wanted to ask the HRA whether they have any different thoughts about the vendor RFP from last year, or whether to just carry over the same RFP. And then I also mentioned HRA. At this point in time, vendors don't sign a license agreement. The application is a sort of de facto agreement, but we do have people who use event space to sign a license agreement, and the parking management to sign a lease agreement. So I was wondering whether HRA wants to develop with council a license agreement for vendors. And then also a checklist of guidelines of all of the permits and so on that are required.
I believe we should. We did in the past. I think I have boilerplate language I can send to you.
So would this cover issues like it's clean condition and then what the ramifications are, paid in full, what the ramifications are? That's not in the lease. That would be in the license? Or what do we gain by the license versus just adding more details to the lease?
Well, there's no lease for vendors. There's
All right.
just the application.
And there's no.
And the approval of.
Oh, and it just acts kind of like as a de facto contract without enough detail.
Right, even though it's.
Oh, yes, all right. We need.
I believe I have boilerplate language for a lease that we used years ago that was drafted by council, and that was when we were doing vendor spaces, and the high bidder won the vendor spaces. There were only X number of vendor spaces, and it went to the highest bidder. Then at some point, the board decided they wanted to open up to any vendor, and we've got musical vendors going for the last 10 or 15 years.
So So we would, we'll need to go and think through all of the things that we have not been clear about.
I'll forward both of you what I have, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, probably answers these.
Well, it'll help. It'll give us something to work off of.
Yeah.
Adrian, go ahead.
Do we want to consider a small security deposit for our vendors? Because I've noticed that's something we don't have, and then we just don't have any financial anything if
Right.
something goes wrong. And I'm not saying like anything large, like maybe $500, $1,000, but just literally something.
Is this for the special events, there is a security
Exactly,
deposit?
exactly,
So why
just for
not
consistency.
For the vendors as well.
Right.
That would be.
Is that something that was ever done in the past and did it
I'd have to go back
disappear
and look.
or, okay.
Well, we have had a couple issues. I mean, we had
Well,
like,
exactly.
surfboard racks left there. We've
Exactly.
had a container left way beyond when it was supposed to be
Yeah.
taken away.
All these things.
This K, 45 Hampton Circle, that middle lot that we just like locked up, is there any opportunity to think about food trucks again?
As an event, if somebody wants to do an event,
Not as an event, but could you lease out any of that space to the food trucks to help bring them a little bit closer to community and to the middle a little bit, if you've got that space?
we do lease out spaces to vendors, and they get to pick the space that they want to bid on. Generally, they congregate down towards the bathhouse, because the middle lot is kind of a no man's land. If you look at stairs and access to the beach, the access to the beach are across from the DCR paved parking lot, and the next access is down at Water Street. So that main lot is kind of no man's land when it comes to access to the beach and access to amenities, bathrooms, businesses, so it's kind of a dead spot.
We also haven't used all of the spots. We haven't had a summer where we used, we still had almost,
I just didn't know if there was a way to sort of
half
whiteboard or rethink that space that we're gonna leave empty and sort of think about sort of how consumers use that space or how to get access to those food trucks. They may be defaulting further down because of ideas like yours, which are sort of important, but they may want to get closer to this. I don't know. Just curious. I don't know if it's worth thinking about.
I mean-
I'll leave it at that.
All right.
Just,
Cindy, go ahead.
Cindy Borges, Nantasket Ave. The lobster, whatever the seafood place was over
Right.
at that area last year and did a killer business
Right.
Yes.
in that middle lot. So it's a matter of who the vendor is. It's not
Yeah.
no man's land. That place was hopping all the time.
Yeah, great lobster rolls at a
Adrian,
good
go ahead.
price.
Considering that we're only leasing out Phipps Street, perhaps we want to pull back on the number of vendor spaces we actually offer in Phipps Street to both make it more attractive to whoever the bidder is for the parking, such that we're not taking away parking spaces for vendors. And we could actually make it so the majority of our vendor spaces are on Lot B.
Yeah.
We would just have to be very strict about how many cars they are allowed to have at, on the land at any given time.
That means they have to have access to the egress. That means we have to have somebody on staff to let them in and out.
So there is a curb cut down there. We can go down and look
But
at it.
if you leave that curb cut
No,
open all
there's
the
a curb cut.
time, then you can-
If we have vendors along that stretch
Which
adjacent to
always have.
the DCR lot where the seafood vendor was and Bobby Patel's trailer was, I believe there's a curb cut there where you could keep it clipped and the vendors open it up to let their staff in and out and then keep the rest of it,
Yeah.
get the wire up on the rest of it. There's gonna be some logistics to make sure we do it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
But last
okay.
year, for example, we were offering 4 vendor spaces on parking lot B and 9 on parking lot A.
Right.
Yeah.
So we could redistribute that, maybe keep only like 3 on parking lot A, give them more parking options, and move the rest options to lot B, maybe a better use of space.
Because you're gonna have less customers anyways to hit those vendors if you're not gonna have parking for all the people to park there.
Yeah.
Well, we will definitely be sure to share that with our vendors, that we are not, and we should share that with our vendors, that we are not having
As much parking.
as much parking.
Yeah, that might
In
slow them
addition
down.
to 5.
if you're gonna speak through the chair and get recognized and state your name and your address, please.
All right, I got my hand up.
Dan, go ahead.
Okay, so if you do move the vendors down, you got to keep in mind that we have no aesthetic standard by which they make those containers look like anything other than what they are, containers. So moving them farther down the beach doesn't seem to fit in with our line of sight and quality of what is really a bare lot, but where it's an aspiring park. So I'm not totally sure that the vendor trucks, now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't go, but the question is should we start raising our aesthetic standard? The problem with High C being there is that they put that ratty little tent up, and nobody wanted to go get a beer. And I think that if they made it nice, I would have got a beer there. I walked by that so many times. What a great spot. I'm just not going to sit there. So aesthetics makes a difference, both to how it looks as a citizen as well as whether or not I want to be.
Bathrooms with running water help too.
What?
Bathrooms with running water help too.
Yeah.
And sorry, I was incorrect. It was 3 spaces on parking lot B and 7 spaces on parking lot A. So we did have a large number of bidders last year. We could actually just be more selective and let the top win bids, and that might mean that not everyone gets a vendor spot this year. So we could end up maybe with only 6 vendor spots or something. I think we ended up with 7 or 8 last year, 8. So it's kind of what people think. Do we want more vendors or do we want higher bidding vendors?
Did we get any feedback from the vendors this year?
Oh, I didn't send the survey this year. I did it the year before.
Does anybody talk to them and see how well they did or didn't do, or complaints, or?
Well, I know some of them only showed up part-time,
Okay.
you know,
That's true. Yeah, there were a few part-timers.
and then, you know,
The
once
service
you,
guys
They are
I
allowed
talked
to do.
you got, no, it's
We
their
have no
business, you know.
restrictions.
Yeah.
Right, we don't have any restrictions. The bid's only $1,000.
In
Could
general,
raise it and only get selective, less bidders, and more serious ones.
and by the second week of August, the beach starts petering out unless you get a 90-degree day in a weekend,
Yeah.
right?
The, you know, we didn't do the survey, but, I mean, I've talked to the people who do the surf camps, and they love the spot. They
And
do
they'll be
great.
back. I
And
mean,
it is.
the 2 surf
and,
camps will-
Yeah, and I think it's great for our town that we've
Right.
got those surf camps, so everybody is just.
Benefits.
Yeah, so I'd just like them to paint the back of their containers so they look a little better.
Well, you can go down there and help them anytime.
I don't know either, but they said they were going to, and I don't remember if they did.
All right, so Mark, you're going to work on the vendor and the parking, and we'll get together online, right?
Sure, yeah.
We'll revisit this.
Yeah, so we can just, I'll look at the boiler.
I'll forward you that information, then you can go off there and work off of that. I'll forward it to you too, Dan, so you can see what it is.
We'll put language in the RFP regarding the security deposit for vendors.
Yep.
And
That sounds reasonable.
does HRA want to decide on a number right now of vendor spaces that will be available, what the
Oh,
minimum bid
number of
is?
spaces.
Number of spaces,
Yes.
minimum bid.
I'd say 4 and 4.
I was gonna go 3 and 3, but we're very close, Bartley.
Well, we had 8 last year, so I figured I'd give them a shot. I mean, I don't care either way, but
We had 10 last year.
10 spaces reserved when
We
they
had
went out the bid.
sorry, yeah, we had 8 bids for 10 spaces.
We didn't use the 10, but they were
Use the
reserved
10.
when they put it out to bid
They
to
were
get back.
reserved, exactly.
Reserved.
Yeah. I mean, if we're I have the map right here, and there's like 3 spaces right in the south corner of Lot A, and then 3 spaces in the north corner of Lot B. What if we just did those 6?
You do that. How many?
fine with that.
How does it affect the 275? So if we had 275 spaces.
You got them in
with
there.
the-
It all depends on your operator, how good he is.
But are we going to, with the lease space, and then we allow them space for their cars, for the vendors?
Yeah, what we did last year, I'm not totally sure if this answers the question, or if it's.
I just don't want to take away from the, 275, so I mean,
They were able to fit the 275 with the
Plus-
vendors last year.
Yeah, we
Okay.
basically that whole first row on the east side was all was all vendors.
Okay.
or
And then we
at least
didn't have some
set aside
vendors.
for vendors.
And so we took some of that, because they didn't occupy all of them. We took some of it for short-term parking, so
Yes.
that they could,
Yeah.
and we took the other part for handicap.
Yep.
So we got to just kind of look at all the little moving parts. So now,
We'll deal with that as a subcommittee.
God, yeah, all right.
And also the pricing, are we going to dictate how much the vendor can charge per car?
Oh, going back to parking.
Pocket, yeah, I'm sorry.
I think
Subcommittee?
we could, well,
No.
you put a ceiling on it,
Yeah.
what's the maximum you're gonna allow them to charge, and leave it up to the vendor. If the vendor wants to, if the vendor bids on it, and he wants to set his price at a specific price all year, the vendor can do that, but we should set a ceiling. You
Right.
don't want somebody, whacking them for $60 to go to the beach for the day,
Maximum 40 in my, is that what we had last year for
I don't know.
parking?
Did we have a
I thought we had
max
a
last year?
maximum.
I think it was $40 last year.
40.
Yeah,
I would keep
$40 is the
that.
maximum.
Subcommittee, keep that, please.
Keep that.
And then back to the vendors, do we want to raise the minimum bid to 1,500, 2,000 this year as opposed to 1?
Well,
It's still
I
a
mean,
deal.
if you're cutting down the number of vendor spaces, you make it the minimum bid, and they can bid above what the minimum bid is, right? So
Right.
if they want a specific spot, they're gonna pay more for that specific
So we
spot. You're
should let
close to the
them know that
bathroom,
they're- Let them know in the RFP that there are fewer spots than previous years. Yeah, that's a good point.
the surf camps always
Bid more.
try to guess what the next highest bidder is going to be and make sure they're a couple dollars more. They
Yeah.
want to maintain their spots.
I think the highest one was $1,700 this
Yeah.
last time.
Yeah. And then 8 spots, 6 spots?
Six.
All right, 6,
And security deposit?
500, 1,000.
500.
500,
500. We just need to be able to tow the stuff off if they don't.
enough to get a tow truck.
500 enough to tow a container?
I don't know.
I actually don't know.
I'm assuming it is, because if you have a container filled with construction materials, they take it away for about 500. Should be the.
Susan Burnley. I just was wondering, last year, were there any vendors that didn't last the whole summer? My understanding was there was a coffee shop that just packed up and left. So I don't know if there was any others, and so if you limit yourself, you might then be left with even fewer. And so I don't know the answer to that. Do you know? I know there was 10 vendors that bid.
But you gotta assume that. I mean, it's like any commercial space, right? People are gonna try things, and they're not gonna work. It's not because we charge
It's a
too
low
much.
bid.
Our bid isn't what's making it not feasible. 3 months.
No, but what I'm saying is that last year you had 10, I don't know how many it shrunk to, but if you have a smaller pool of 6, then if you have a couple drop out, then you'll have even fewer,
Yeah.
in the middle of summer. And so, I don't know the answer to how many might have dropped out, but, you've got your 2 surf camps, that's gonna probably be a guarantee.
I'm assuming that lobster truck's coming back, because they were a hit.
Right.
And there was at least 5 of them that were a hit. So I can't imagine those 5 aren't gonna come back, and they already know how to survive.
Yeah, and I hope that they're doing their meals tax in Hull.
We're not the tax collector.
And they might not get the business. If you're 400
Yeah, you're right.
Amy,
Elise Crane from 9 Arthur Street.
okay, go ahead.
They might not get the business that they got last year if you have limited parking there. You're getting rid of 400 spaces because you're not opening up that center place. They might not get that business that they got last year.
Well, can we try the statistics side of this? I'm the math teacher. 85% of the time, we do not go over the amount of space there. So most of the time, like last year, most of the time, Dunn never even opened up the middle lot.
Okay.
Yeah, about at least 4 out of 5 days, more than that. Most of the time, it was never open, and those people have to do business. So the only time that we ever used that lot was when it was a really, really hot day, and in fact, the rest of the time, people can pull up their car and, because there's no traffic, and double park and go out and get their lobster roll. So, and the surf camps, they operate early in the morning, where you drop your kids off,
Right.
and then yeah. So, and they start earlier in the season, and, yeah.
All right, let's end this conversation. I think we got a direction. We're gonna get to the subcommittee, we'll do get the bids ready for the season. We'll coordinate with Mark, because we can go around in circles all night. I'd like to get out of here at some reasonable hour. It is Christmas week. Let's talk about the next thing on our agenda, the Hull Light and Gazebo holiday lighting.
Yes. So, as everyone probably has noticed, there are beautiful holiday lights on the gazebo. And I did reach out to the whole rest of the board, because last year we had communication with the light board about these lights, and this year I hadn't heard any. I reached out to the rest of the board. The board hadn't heard any, so I reached out to the light plant. And I found out multiple things, so we'll take them each. Last year, we voted to allocate a certain amount of money, the exact dollar I can't remember, but it was somewhere a little over $2,000 to, I believe the motion was participate in the holiday light program with the light plant, something like that. We did vote to approve this motion, and then according to Ann Finley from the light plant, and I hope I'm getting her name correctly. It is Ann.
That's right. Yep.
Thank you. Ann from the light plant, she actually never invoiced us for that amount, apparently because the bill came late to them. So first of all, since we did commit to that amount of money last year and voted on it, I would like us to honor that vote that we made, and she said she's happy to provide an invoice for us to pay. So I just wanted to first check in with the board about that.
So as long as the minutes show that we voted to pay that bill, I think we're obligated to pay it, so.
Okay, so I will ask her for an invoice for last year's lighting. And part of the concern last year was that we ended up being listed as a sponsor for the holiday lighting program. And as I mentioned earlier in this evening, we had taken a stance as a board to not donate. And I think something that happened was the board wasn't aware that we were donating to a program. We thought we were paying for a service as opposed to donating, and then we were like a gold level sponsor for the lighting program, which I know I was surprised by, and I was worried about how that would, have us look and have other people come asking us for money. So this year, Anne has asked that if we are able to contribute something, they would appreciate it. I guess what I would say is I would like to ask how much it is to light our gazebo and be invoiced for that amount. I don't know if it's the $2,000 or if it's something else. I don't know where that figure of $2,000 came from last year, but if the board is interested in paying the light plant for the lighting of the gazebo, I can ask Ann for that amount and we can approve that. So that's 2. And then 3 on this topic is, I guess I was just, and Bartley, you may have something, so I think some color to add to this, but I know I have a bit of a concern with the light plant just doing stuff to our gazebo without asking us. It is lovely and beautiful and nice, but there is liability to be considered. It is our property, and it would be nice if they let us know. So I would love to just remind the light board nicely to please ask first before nailing a bunch of lights into our gazebo, or however they magically do it. So those are the three things right there.
I want to say, last year, the arrangement was that nothing got nailed to it. They attached it in some way.
Sorry, not nailed. I'm sorry. I don't know how they do it.
I don't know, but I hope they remembered that there was a criteria, because they didn't ask this time, and nobody was there to remind them that our plastic gazebo doesn't take nails well.
So you're going to reach out to Ann?
Yes, so I can reach out about getting an invoice for last year, so we can fulfill our warrant from last year, our motion from last year, and then I can ask the amount for lighting our gazebo so that we're not necessarily donating to a pool to be listed as a gold sponsor, but we are paying for that service. And then I can write up a little please ask and check with us before you, but I don't know, apparently there
So-
was some communication?
Well, the communication was sent to Dennis Iyer, and Dennis Iyer forwarded me an email, and I didn't see it until after you had queried me and the lights were up. So once you queried me, I started looking to see if I got anything, and I said, did I miss anything? And there was an email from Dennis that they had contacted him, and I didn't see it.
Okay, so miscommunication this year.
Right.
But just generally, I'll be like, just wanted to get the board's approval before I
Yep.
gave that little reminder. So I'll take care of all of those.
Makes sense. All right. Cindy,
Last year, just FYI.
identify yourself, please.
Cindy Borges, Nantasket Ave. Last year, the entire length of Nantasket Ave along the bay was done. All those poles were done as well. So we did $2,000 last year. That included all those poles. And
I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that's the case, Cindy, but-
The poles along Nantasket Ave between Water Street and Anastas Corner, individual sponsors pay for each one of those poles.
no, last year they had from Water Street to Fifth Street, all those lights on the Bayside.
I don't know.
It's true.
Maybe they got more donations last year than they did this year. But again, we don't know how, we
That's what I'm saying.
approved an amount of money, and I will admit, I don't know 100% where that amount came from.
We approved that money for the gazebo, not for anything
That is
beyond that.
true.
That was
That
our
is true.
intention, not that it's not wasn't a great thing they did.
It's for the
Maybe we would have.
decoration and
Yeah.
for the services.
Yeah, services. So if they want to do that, they'd have to ask us.
All right. Moving on. Anything under new business?
Oh,
New business.
Old.
Under old business, just a quick update on where we are with the parking vendor for last year. The complaint, it will be filed shortly. Mark talked to the attorneys the other day. They got the information that they need, and their draft is pretty much completed. The one thing the attorney did want is somebody from the board to sign the complaint, and I'm being the chairman, I wasn't involved in actually that parking bid, so somebody else from the board should be signing the complaint.
Is that what you sent me, or no?
I can. I think I'm
You're
the vice chair.
The other
so
vice chair, so,
I sign.
all right.
Yeah, right. No problem.
All right, so that was a quick update on that, and so that'll be moving forward. Hopefully, we can get our money. So. And that's it for old business for me. Does anybody else have anything? Adrian, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I've noticed that the hotel parking lot fence has sustained more damage than the previous damage when we last spoke. I just wanted to know, I think Bartley, you were going to follow up with them?
I did reach out to him. I talked to Randy Russell, who's the operations manager for the Newport Hotel Group, and they said they would be getting the fence guy down there. I did tell them that the other part of the fence was rotted, and whether somebody hit it or the fence post itself rotted out, that the fence needs repairs. So he said he was reaching out to Armstrong Fence, and they were going to come down and repair it. I know it's been the holiday season, the weather's been inclement, so I'm assuming they'll get it down, but if that thing falls over, I'll have them take down the sections until they get the new ones up.
If one of our lessees is having work done on our land, do they need to file any insurance with us, or is that all their
We have
responsibility?
they give us liability insurance every year with their lease payment.
Great. Thank you for doing that. The fence is looking very sad. Let's see, the next thing, I just wanted to let the other members know that I did reach out to Karen Gray at Wildlands to see if she's interested in coming to speak with us. I know we discussed it a couple months ago, so I know it's a busy time of year. I have not yet heard back, but hopefully we can have her come to a meeting in January or February to discuss some options of what an organization like Wildlands does. Because I know the previous time she came, her time was very short. So just wanted to let everyone know that.
All right. Meeting dates going forward in January.
Sorry, Bartley, I have one more.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just leaving a breath. Let's see. What's the status with Pierce Atwood and Paula resigning and
So,
or retiring? Go Paula.
Yes, so Paula will be retiring at the end of this year. We had a meeting, I had a Zoom meeting with both Paula and the new HRA council, the prospective HRA council, Garrett, and Barbara was not able to attend that meeting, but I was able to speak with him by phone and basically discuss what had been covered in the meeting and so on. So it was just a kind of passing of the baton and making Gareth aware of what's been going on with HRA and what my role is relative to HRA and just making sure that it's a smooth transition.
So, and we may want to bring Gareth in so we can talk to him about that transition.
Yes.
We just haven't had a chance to do so. I'd like to, if we can get our meeting dates lined up and have him come in and talk about that transition, because Paula and P.S. Atwood's been our attorneys for a long time. She took over for, her name escapes me now, but the continuity, they have all the records and stuff like that. I still would like to meet them. And then the other counsel, Liam Vesley, is also from P.S. Atwood, that's handling the litigation with the vendor. So if we can set up some meeting dates going forward, maybe we can line up them to come in. And
Okay.
Is he any prior background in the whole 30B redevelopment stuff? Because he has. Okay, because there were areas that we would touch on, even since I've been on the board, where our prior council said, you should kind of stay away from that because it's going to cost me a lot of money to, if you go that way, because it's unfrequented legal areas. So if the person's not up to speed, it can cost tremendous. What we are doing is an obscure corner of the law, and it can take a long.
Yes. Yes, I think Paula was very careful to identify somebody within the Pierce Atwood firm who had familiarity
with this.
Playing law.
Yeah, all right. It's far more nuanced than we like to think.
Yes.
all right, what's the availability of the board members going forward for January?
I'm available any Monday.
Not available the holiday Monday, but that's a holiday.
I'm all set whenever.
You want to set a meeting for the 5th or the 12th?
Either one.
Want to shoot for the 5th?
Yeah.
That'll be a Zoom meeting. And we'll try to get
Stephanie Gauthier from Market Street Research.
Market Street Research.
She said she has no problem attending any of those Monday evening meetings if they're virtual. And then she said that she would be, when the time is appropriate, to attend in-person meetings, and that will be additional travel charge, mileage charge beyond the
All right, so, and you sent us all the information on what that cost would be.
Yeah, it's sort of standard mileage.
Okay.
So let's shoot for Market Street Research on the 5th.
Yep.
And,
You want to try to have Gareth also?
yeah, I'd like to get Garrison also, if we could. And I don't know if Paula would do it, but it'd be good if we could get her to come. Just, she did a lot of work for us over the years. She's been with us, and, she can give some background and.
For sure. Is that all right for me to reach out to all these folks and ask whether they have availability?
See if they get availability, and then we'll go from there. If they don't have availability, maybe we'll toggle the meeting to another night.
Unless it'll be time to discuss RFP stuff and get that squared away. Is that enough time, or actually that's not much time?
No, that's only 2 weeks, yeah. So I would say the second meeting in January, we want to do RFP stuff. Right.
So do we want to do the 12th or the 26th?
26th.
26th?
Yes,
So the 5th will be a Zoom meeting.
should we see when like market research and Gareth are available and then decide which one's a Zoom meeting because they're going to be both Zoom people?
So, yeah, so I could get a confirmation, this week.
All right, so we'll wait for the confirmation, then we'll make a game time decision on that, and we'll post it. And if there's anything else that needs to be on the agenda, let me know so I can get the agenda posted and up quicker.
And when I hear
There's
back,
two holiday weeks coming.
and when I hear back from Karen Gray, I'll see if maybe she could come the 26th. I think she would prefer to come an in-person meeting, so we'll see between our Zoom obligations and in-person obligations what works.
All right.
Yeah, and I think discussing the RFPs in an in-person meeting will be more effective to
Yep.
circulate the draft document.
It works.
All right, and I will try to reach out to Boosters and Haifa to make sure they're all, get their letter of interest in.
Oh, one more thing under, I have it on mine, under correspondence, if I may.
Yep.
Not many people left, but I do just want to thank, we've had a bunch of new voices into our contact. And I just want to say thank you for anyone, as always, who's reaching out to give us their thoughts. It's nice to see new voices, as it's lovely to see the old voices and the familiar faces in our inbox, but it's nice to see the new voices as well. So if you're watching on TV, thanks for sending your feedback along. That's all.
All right.
Just a quick thing. Since the middle lot's going to be open, are you going to extend the deadline for events? Because I don't think that was really, I don't think that's really known to the public right now. Like what I don't even know what your deadline was, but now that that's going to be more open, are you going to?
We're not going to extend the deadline on the events. We may extend it by a short distance, but the last year the town wanted the events in early in the year because they got to plan logistically for events, especially summer events. You know, the shoulder season, if somebody comes in and wants to do an event, we'll entertain it, but it's something that, if it's a major event that's going to be in the dead of the summer, on a weekend in the summer, that's something that we're going to have to, before we say, yeah, go ahead, we got to coordinate with the town, because you don't want to have an event where it's, 4th of July weekend, and now they got to dedicate resources to an event there where, the beach is hopping and they don't have the resources.
Yeah, no, I understand. I just wanted to see if you were, I think you said something about January. Like, I don't think the general public knows what your deadlines are, so you might want to find, some way to communicate. Huh?
Put them on the webpage.
Yeah, I mean, I guess people aren't really going to know, but yeah, I guess. Or if there was any kind of social media, but.
Yeah, I don't actually remember what we did the year before. I don't actually think we made
You
any.
used to have those little info boxes in the Times where you put things in
Yeah,
there.
it's been a while since we've had one of those.
And that might be a
Yeah.
small little thing.
At this point, yeah, we could try to get an info box in if we wanted to, but I actually, I think, Barley, I agree with you, but I think we've always been open to something coming up. It's just, it's not our responsibility for you to get town approval, right? You could come to us in April and say, oh, we have this really cool thing. Sure, go talk to the town. We're not the bad guy.
Right.
And I think the town doesn't want to be the bad guy. They want us to be the bad guy instead, which I understand. It's hard to be the bad guy. But like, if something very special came up, it's like, well, yeah, if it works and you can make the town happy with it, I think the board would consider it.
It's the 250th for the town this year, so it would be nice if there was some events.
Right.
Right.
But,
And
who's going to take the bull by the horns and organize it?
Yeah.
Cindy, go ahead.
Hey, Cindy Borges, Fantastic Avenue. So last year, I think you said it was Martin Luther King Day, right, was the deadline?
It's the 15th.
I mean, that's basically 3 weeks away. So it's just kind of, for anybody trying to plan anything to draw people to the town, you're like, it kind of shuts things down, like you're saying. It can happen later, but yeah, I just think.
Well, there's never any guarantees anyway, right, that an event will be approved. We've had plenty of people come to us with events that then don't end up going anywhere. But I guess,
It's too late now for this year. I'm just saying but most people don't have it on their mind at Christmas time, what they're doing in the summer of 2026.
We did run into this last year too, and we did have quite a few, quite a bit of interest last year. But, I mean, then it gets into, is it our job to be event planner and advertiser of the space or not? And that's not where we've been focusing our energy, to be
No, but
honest.
one notice of saying, you know, hey, thinking of something for summer, do it before Martin Luther King Day.
Is that something the authority wants Catherine Goldhammer to write up a little info box in the Times?
You can put it as a reminder, you know.
She's usually been the one who's like written those things up. Do we want to do that?
Sure.
You'd have to get it, I mean, we're up against it. You're gonna have, I'd say push it out till January 30th.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because if, by the time you get it in the Times, it's holiday week,
Gonna take-
New Year's. Push it out to January 30th and
Okay.
say, you know,
I can reach out to Catherine Goldhammer and ask her to write a very small box that says where the information is.
anybody that's
and-
wishing to do an event on the Redevelopment Authority property for the coming summer season, application should be in before January 30th.
Sure, I will bring that to Catherine Goldhammer. Do you guys want to approve it before I send it out, or it's very basic?
No, that's good.
Okay.
So we should just immediately start trying to get on their calendar. One of the things is the lag between
Who's calendar?
Stay.
the select board. Because we made the decision, what they were upset is that by the time we made
Well,
the
no,
decision.
it's not our responsibility to get events approved. Are you
No,
talking
for
about
the
parking?
Oh, yeah, you're right, and since we don't have parking.
Well, we
We
will
can
have
tell 'em.
some parking.
Well, the thing was is that parking is when we told them about it.
Yeah.
We need to tell them about it sooner. So if we agree on this, I don't know how we inform them.
We
if
can
we've
send
got-
them an email.
We should, if
Don't
any events that are gonna be
necessarily-
for this summer season, would have to have the application by January 30th. At that point, we could notify the board that, hey, we've got these applications.
Yeah.
And then go
Send
from there.
a letter saying, hey, just so you're aware, these are
We don't have to
the
go.
various things that you may see in front of your board to be approved, or
Yeah.
whoever to be approved.
I think that was it. I don't remember when we finally got to them that they felt it was.
March.
And we're gonna wrap this up. Identify yourself, please.
Lisa Gray, 9 Arthur Street. So will you now notify the town that you will not be allowing any parking in that middle big area?
Yeah,
Okay.
How are we going to do that?
I will send an email to the town manager.
Lisa French, 47 Brookline. I do remember that the delay about the HRA meeting with the select board was because the town manager said that Dennis Zaya did not send his email to the correct address. He had sent it to, like, the town manager's assistant instead of someone else in the town manager's office. And so it was just ignored, which he didn't realize until he was sitting before her months later. So I guess it's very important to contact exactly the right person in the town manager's office, or you won't get a response.
Right.
And to
take
have
care
the
of it.
appropriate agenda item.
All right, we'll take care of it.
Our works for us.
All right,
so we should be-
anything else under old business? All right,
No.
it being 9:29, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second by Joan.
We're both.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Bye.
Aye.
All right, everybody have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays,
Happy
enjoy
holidays.
yourselves. That's
Happy
coming
New
straight
Year.
from the Grinch.
What's your cost?